Welcome back from break. Most of you, I know some of you, but not all of you. My name's Gwen. And I just wanted to jump right into things here, and I just want to talk about how scary the world is. Would any of you agree that nowadays the world's pretty scary?
Yes.
I remember back when I was in my early 20s, I really wasn't living for the Lord, and I had a boyfriend, and I just remember thinking, even though I knew the Lord, I wasn't living for him, and I didn't even embrace my faith the way, in a real way. So, but I remember saying, like, I don't want to have children. Like, the world's too scary now. What about, like, when I'm ready to have children? Why would I want to have children? And I know nowadays, I have 4 kids, so the Lord's brought me a long way. But I say that to say, even us as adults, we kind of say that, right? And then as Christians, all the more, we look at the world and we think, well, like, where do we fit? You know, some of you, I know I found myself looking at the world and the current situation that it's in, thinking, where's the gospel fit in this situation? Because it's such big issues, so many problems, so many unsaved people. Where's the Lord fit in that? Well, even today, being MLK, I have my son has a friend named Heston, and they were going to be hanging out. Well, they're from Winter Haven, and I guess there were some shootings after the Martin Luther King parade. And I thought, you know, this is crazy. They're celebrating, honoring a man who fought for, you know, to do it the right way. And here they are shooting afterwards. And we were going to an MLK celebration, and she said, I'm kind of concerned about taking Heston there. Is everything going to be okay? And I'm like, well, I can't guarantee it, you know. I just can't guarantee it, but I think so. And so I'm coming at you in this context because I think sometimes we find Jesus doing things contrary than what we do as Christians. How many would agree to that, right? Yeah. So, for instance, sometimes I'm like, Lord, just take me out of the world. Actually, I would never say that, but I've heard it said before. And so, needless to say, we find Jesus in John chapter 17, and he's basically praying before he goes to back to the Father, and he's praying for his disciples, he's praying for future believers, and he's asking for the glory to be revealed and that they would be one. And this is the context of his prayer as he's beginning to leave the earth. So he prays the unthinkable prayer, the one when someone's praying for you and you're like, oh, don't say that. And he says in verse 15, he's like, that you wouldn't, I'm not praying that you would take them out of the world, but that you would protect them from the evil one. And I want to just come to you today in that context of, here we are as Christians, some of us brought up in the church, some of us here in full-time ministry, maybe pursuing full-time ministry as preachers, and people who might even find ourselves in situations where we're not really in the world. You know, we're more in a church setting. And so sometimes we find a struggle in that place, like, how do I really be in the world? I don't want to be of it, but I mean, I think I'm supposed to be in it, or maybe I don't think I'm supposed to be in it. Maybe I think I'm supposed to, you know, minister just to Christians and kind of, you know, from that perspective. But we see here that Jesus is saying, I don't want you, Father, to take them out of this world, but I want you to protect them from the evil one. And then he goes on to say, in verse 16, that they are not of the world, even as I am not of it. But then he says, sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. And in verse 18, as you sent me into the world, I've sent them into the world. For them I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. So I like that it says that we're not of the world, and we all party about that. But then we have this thing we have to figure out in ourselves. How do we be in the world but not of the world, but still reach the world and still give them truth without preaching at them? And it's what we've been challenged with. And Jesus said it himself, like, be in the world but not of it, and I'm going to pray that the Father protects you. So in verse 17, he kind of breaks it down some, and he says, sanctify them by the truth. And I love that, because to be sanctified, we all know, pretty much means to be set apart, right? But also, to go a little deeper in that, it says to be set apart for a specific use. So to me, to be sanctified by the truth is to be set apart in the world with a kingdom perspective. We're coming with a message. We're coming with eternal vision in the world. And sometimes I think we get caught up as believers, you know, or just as people, and we're like, oh, I'm going to be in the world, I'm going to bring the truth, but I'm going to get all around the popular people, and I'm going to save them, and then everybody will do it, you know? But that's not the way it works. So going into the world with the message to whom it will be received by. And then eventually praying that, you know, none would be lost. So then it goes on to say, by my word, and we know, or by my truth. And we know that his truth is his word, and Jesus is the word. And so then he says that for them I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. And so really just giving all of ourselves to Jesus, letting him be that word in us, that message that goes forth to be in the world. I love it. He says that he's been sent into the world. And so I know even if you're not going to be in the position where you are going to have a lot of marketplace experience with people, you may just find that you're ministering to the Christian body. That message should be so strong within you that it sends them to the world. And so playing your part in the body, but with the message that will give them the truth of sanctification in the world, not of the world. And I just wanted to encourage you with that today, that as we apply ourselves in our studies, as we apply ourselves in preaching and in teaching, that we would do it with a kingdom perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen.